Hello and welcome along to the West Yorkshire Football Show. Although, admittedly, I am not currently in West Yorkshire. I'm a little bit further down south in sunny Cornwall. Can't really tell from there. Uh, Not got my laptop, so I'm trying to navigate different windows open, trying to keep an eye on the Premier League results. Lewis and Jay were on together yesterday. They had a fantastic preview show to the Everton game on Monday. I suggest any Leeds fan, if you've not listened to that, it's a great listen. I think Lou will be replacing me on Lee's latest if he carries on being that good. But I just wanted to come on for a little bit, talk through my thoughts on DCL. I'm hoping Mr. Booker is going to join me for a little bit as well as we check out what the results are for the Premier League for the 3 p.m. kickoffs. If I'm sounding okay, if you're watching along, if you can just let me know that you can hear me. That would be fantastic, or if there's any distortion, because I'm not too sure. I was getting mixed messages from StreamYard as to whether I could actually be heard. So yeah, if anybody can let me know, that would be fantastic. But yeah, get your comments in. I've seen Sunderland winning 1-0 with about 15 minutes left. Burnley have been trounced 3-0 by Spurs. So some interesting results there, and I think we will be keeping a close eye on our potential, in quotes, relegation rivals. So yeah, very interesting. So we'll see how that ends up in the next kind of 15-20 minutes or so. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, of course, was unveiled yesterday, and when it kind of got announced, because I think we did a show on Monday and it was being rumoured that DCL was lining up to move to Leeds, and my kind of first reaction was not sure about that, because we know kind of the injuries, we know the goal scoring record doesn't exactly blow you away, and I think at first I was a little bit disappointed by it, or not disappointed but just unenthused really, especially when you've heard some of the players who've been linked to. It did feel a little bit flat. However, having actually signed, sealed, and delivered DCL to this Leeds United squad, and hearing Varka's thoughts on him, and watching the interview with DCL as well, I'm pretty positive about it. And of course, we've got some links today as well, the Stuttgart striker. So it looks as if we're still going to be active in that area of the pitch as well. So we're not going to rely on two injury-prone strikers in Nemecha and DCL, as well as unproven Joe Peru. So hopefully we're still going to do something there. I'm not quite sure how you manage four strikers, but we'll hopefully have that problem to figure out. So yeah, I'm hoping he can do well for us. I think he's got all the attributes that if you're a struggling Premier League team, or if if you're looking to stay in this division, you're looking for someone who can cope physically when fit, someone who can win headers, someone who can be physically dominant against a backline. I think he's certainly that. I think he fits into that kind of profile of player that we've been interested in. It's just you're questioning where the goals are coming from at the minute, really. That's the only thing that I would kind of think. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he gets on. I guess the main thing is keeping him fit. But I would say that our medical team has done an absolutely fantastic of actually getting players who've got quite a poor injury record fit. And here he is, Jason Booker, to save me from myself before I just kind of talk myself out of the game. First of all, can you hear me? Do I sound okay, albeit on a phone? Thank God.
You sound fine, just really small and
I know.
rectangular.
Do you know what I can do? I can do this. Is that a bit better? Is that a bit better? And it looks, everything looks squished and weird on my phone, but that might be a better viewing experience. So we'll go with that. No, Jay, I was just giving my take on DCL. Obviously, I was on a big drive down yesterday. I listened to yours and Lou's show, which was brilliant. Really good listen. The time actually flew listening to that. I thought you both made some really good points. We've got the Premier League games this afternoon that are happening. I've just mentioned at the top of the show that we were looking at, I think, Sunderland winning 1-0 at the moment.
Sunderland have just gone 2-0 up.
Oh, okay.
Good value for it as well. They've played well.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats, and I mean, I think West Ham are going to have a bad year, this year. I mean, I've got to admit, I'm not Potter's greatest fan. I think he's done really well in terms of his career to get to manage in the Premier League. When you look at all the different levels he's managed at, I think that's fantastic. And I think he did a good job with Brighton, albeit I remember those years when we were kind of battling them when we were first in the Premier League, and they were not a good team then. They were kind of just did enough to stay up. And then obviously he got this Chelsea job, which was pretty much a disaster, and clearly wasn't ready for it. And then he's gone to West Ham, and it just seems a bit of a damp squib. And I think West Ham in it itself, I mean, after the highs of winning the Europa League or Conference League with Moyes, and then to kind of, all that pressure to get Moyes out from the fans, I mean, you're scratching your head. And I think it's a perfect storm for them. And I'm hoping that we can drag them in. If we're going to be in a relegation battle this season, hopefully West Ham can be in it. I don't know if that's just copium from the fact that Sunderland are winning, but
I think you're right. I think a few people have tipped him to potentially go down. I don't think you're on your own. I think I've heard a few, and I've even heard some West Ham content creators say that they feel like they might be in and around it as well. I think Potter's a really interesting conversation because I think what you've seen at Brighton since he's gone is that the other managers have elevated them on. So first there was De Zerbi, who improved them, I think, significantly. They were so much better to watch, and they started scoring a lot more goals. And now I always forget his name, the young German manager.
Hertzler.
Hertzler, yeah. He's taken them on again. So, and I think Potter was the man that brought them into kind of awareness, and he had that reputation attached to that. But towards the end of his time at Brighton, there were some murmurs of unrest there as well because they just didn't score enough goals, did they? If you remember, they were constantly kind of like just never scoring. So, I think it's a really interesting one, and I think he's under a lot of pressure. I think he has got a lot on his shoulders because if it goes wrong here, where does he go from here? Really, probably has to go abroad or back down to the Championship. So it's a really interesting one. But I'm not surprised by this. I mean, I was sharing my accumulator with you all. I had some.
Yeah, you've done decent, haven't you?
To win this one, I just felt like Stadium Malai first came back. They have made some good signings. I think their starting 11 is really strong. Well, not really strong, but I think he's competitive. I think they'll be in and around the battle to, finish 14, 15, similar to us. Watching Diarra is a player. It's a shame that he got away. I do think Anton Sak is probably better, but watching him, he's an exciting player. Out of the two of them, him and Siddiqui, I think Diarra's the one to watch. He's just got that rugged African strength, like just that running mobility, just like a Yaya Toure, just the way that they kind of carry the ball over the field. So yeah, I think if they can be still in with a shout come after the African Cup of Nations and all them players come back fit, they'll stand a real chance of staying up.
Yeah, it's they've almost had a kind of benefit of not having been in the Premier League recently and coming up from League One in the terms of, you guys mentioned it yesterday about PSR headroom, and it's almost like a blank slate that they've come into the Premier League and they could go, right, we can put down 150 million plus we've managed to sell Joe Bellingham for a large amount. So of course that helps massively PSR wise, and they can really kind of go for it, can't they, in a big way? They're not paying legacy wages. They haven't got a Bamford coming up who's suddenly going on 70 grand a week for a year, and all those kind of situations like that. They just simply don't have that. So they've literally been able to go, right, okay, we had one of the lowest wage bills last season. We can literally quadruple that easily, more probably, and still be absolutely fine.
It's the signings that they've made prior to this as well. So like Trey Hughes, who's one of their best players, he cost them £240,000.
Yeah.
Like, so the PSR damage that does is just, it's inconsequential, isn't it? Whereas, just as an example, if we'd have gone up with Junior Firpo, he still would have been 12 million quid on the books, as an example. Like it's just totally different kettle of fish. So yeah, you're absolutely spot on, mate. And you know what? It's funny because I don't I don't like kind of wish any ill on them. I actually would like them to stay up. I just don't want them to stay up at the expense of us, obviously. So I still want them. I want them to struggle because I recognise the fact that where we are going to be. But if I knew that we were finishing 17th tomorrow, I would want Sunderland to do really well every week because I think it's romantic. I think they're a big club. Like, you know, we've all seen the Sunderland Till I Die documentary. They've been through it. The fan base has been through it. They've been in League One, similar, you know, to us. So yeah, like I don't have any ill feeling towards them. I think they did unbelievably well last year as well. And you know, there's a big argument to say that outside of us, they were probably the best team to watch. When we beat them at Ellen Road, that kind of put a final nail in their coffin because it put a bit of a. I think it went to 9 points and it would have been 3. I think that's how it was. If they'd have beaten us, it'd have been 3. We beat them, it ended up being 9. Up until that point, I thought that they were a real threat.
Yeah.
I actually think they were better than Sheffield United and Burnley.
I thought they were going to be that year's Ipswich, you know, we're going to risk of getting gazumped by a kind of previous League One outfit.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well, isn't it? Because I agree, it's that the anxiety is there because, I mean, I predicted actually that I could see 2 teams that have been promoted actually surviving. That's kind of my wild take. I guess that's the situation we're in. That's considered a wild take. 2 promoted teams staying up, and I look at Sunderland, look at how they've recruited. You know, the result today, it gets them off to a fantastic start. I mean, that, you know, 3 points in the bank, first game of the season. You know, it's a great start. You know, when you've had teams, you know, previous promoted teams that, you know, it takes them till November to get their first win, you know, so it's really, you know, great start for them. But you just, you just don't want it to be at the expense of Leeds because it is going to be difficult. I mean, I was watching the Bournemouth Liverpool game last night, and the speed of it and the technical ability. I mean, I was kind of, you know, because you're looking for other relegation contenders. You know, you're looking around. I thought Bournemouth, they've lost this player, they've lost that player. You're thinking, could they struggle? And you're watching that Liverpool game, and you're just like, no, they're just so. Although they ended up losing 4-2, look, Liverpool's firepower is extraordinary, and that's what got them through. But I was just looking at the level of that game. You thought, oh, it's a bit different to Hull, Swansea, Cardiff. I mean, it reminds you where you're at, doesn't it?
Yeah. It humbles you a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed last night's game. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a brilliant opening game. You know, Bournemouth, they were probably a bit unfortunate to find themselves behind 2-0 down. They just had so much kind of guile to get themselves back into it. Really disappointed that they ended up kind of throwing the point away that they actually really deserved. And if they'd have had Zabani and Hoyson, the 2 big transfers to PSG and Madrid, they probably win the game.
Yeah.
The only thing that let them down was they didn't have the ability to deal with the ferocious firepower that Liverpool have. But going forward, they were brilliant. And I mean, Liverpool, I picked them to win the league, but yesterday they showed real frailties again at the back, which they also showed in the Charity Shield at the weekend. They can be got at. So yeah, it's funny because I've not really been as excited for a Premier League season as this, probably since the Bielsa promotion. I know that obviously makes sense because of the coinciding, you know, you're back in there and all the rest of it. But I'm really excited for so much of it this year. Like last year, I'll be honest, I missed a lot of it. I was so focused on the Championship that I did it, and the relegation battle was so boring because it was over and done with in January. I kind of just checked out. Like I weren't even really. I didn't watch Match of the Day anymore. Like I kind of just let it go by. So whereas this year, like I've been so looking forward to watching. Last night, today, right, I'm going to pick Sunderland. I'm going to watch that game. Right, tomorrow I'm going to watch Forest because I want to see how Brentford get on, and then I'm going to watch Manchester United because I want to see how they get on. You know what I mean? Like I'm really, really excited by it. And then obviously we've got Monday night, so it's good to feel like that because that is the product, isn't it?
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I think my note of caution with it as well. I think, you know, I know you've kind of come off X in terms of you don't kind of go on it all the time. You're taking the app off, and I've got to that point where I've stopped viewing it because I think I don't want to waste this part of the season when we're a few days away feeling screwed up about the transfers and, you know, tweets. And every time the club puts something official out, you get loads of fans tweeting it going, sign some player. You know, I don't want to waste this kind of excitement on letting the kind of fear and the anxiety kind of overtake. I just want to. I'm exactly like you. I'm absolutely pumped. I'm a mixture of nervous, excited for Monday. I cannot bloody wait for it. I'm like, honestly, I'm absolutely chomping at the bit for Monday night's game. But what will be, will be. You know, it's funny because I was looking back actually on some of our older streams from the Premier League before, and I was thinking of like cutting up a little video. I didn't get time this week, but I was thinking of cutting up a little video of like, you know, when we were really despairing about it, and you know, it's remarkable because the Premier League, if you're not at it, if you're not up to it, it's gonna bite you in the backside. And I agree with you. Last season, I checked out with the Premier League. You know, it's like the title kind of seemed sewed up.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the relegation places sewed up. It was like the only kind of interesting or semi-interesting stories who, you know, what was going to be the European places lineup, and that's pretty. That's poor. I feel like there's almost a re-energized kind of thing with the Premier League at the moment. I think the other title contenders have refreshed, re-energized, raring to go. You know, you've got Maresca's second year at Chelsea. I mean, by all accounts, I didn't see it, but Newcastle were really good today against Villa. You know, they can almost use the Isaac situation as fuel a little bit, can't they? And they've still got time to get a massive fee and do some work there. So I'm really looking forward to this Premier League. I really think it's going to be. I think it's going to be on fire. I just hope we can contend it. You know, the last thing you want is kind of to be in that horrible place we were at when I was watching these old streams where you just feel completely useless and it's just getting away from you.
You know the funny thing though, right? And I was thinking about this the other day. When you compare what we feel like and the situation that we've got ourselves in right now in comparison to the season that we went down, I can't believe we took it to the last game of the season. I genuinely can't. Like when I look back at that season, the drubbings that we got, the management situations, like the mess that we're in, the recruitment, the players that we were trying to rely on, the lack of X factor, Sinisterra's injuries, and all the rest of it. The fact that we took it to the last game of the season actually gives me a lot of confidence that it's not as difficult. It is difficult, but it's not as impossible as people are trying to make out it is. Like, you know, Sunderland have gone up today. They have only started with 4 of the squad that finished last season. So, you know, a lot of their transfers have started, but they've more than equipped themselves against the team in and around. They've been by far the better side. Again, and I know it's only an isolated game, and maybe we are just a little bit of copium clutching at straws, but in comparison to what was the situation at Southampton, Leicester and Ipswich last season, 12 months ago, it didn't look like that, did it? I mean, you could pretty much write them 3 off from word go. Yeah. Even though Leicester picked up some points in the opening weeks under Cooper, yeah, Steve Cooper. You could tell that they were going to be in the bottom 3. They were just miles off it. So yeah, it gives me a lot of confidence. But I agree with you completely. I am not allowing myself to fall into this trap of I'm just going to be negative all the time and jumping on like it's just a honey fest, isn't it? You know, like a trap of kind of no, I'm not doing it.
No, it's a waste of time. You know, we you know, it's been 24 months of work to get back to the Premier League. It's like you've got to try and enjoy it. It's like the Dominic Calvert-Lewin signing. You know, that's kind of summed it up. You know, I hope he's not on X because I'm sure, you know, some of those comments would really upset him. But you know, the potential's there. You can see what they're doing, and you can either choose to look at the negatives and go, okay, injury record, goal scoring record, or you can actually look at why this could be such a canny signing for us, you know, if it works out. And by all accounts, we're still in the market for other players. We're linked with the Stuttgart striker today, who's got some excellent numbers, Okafor at Milan. So we know we're still in the market now. Look, if Farke turned around yesterday at press conference and said, right, that's it. This is the squad that's going to go for the rest of the season. You know, yeah, all right, alarm bells and panic stations, but you know, there's still weeks of the window open. There's a lot of dominoes that fall into place. The one that really annoys me is like where they go, well, Parag said we've been planning for 6 months for this window, so why haven't we? As if everything just falls into your lap, like every single plan can just perfectly work.
Either.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just, yeah, exactly. It's like, look at all the deals we've done. There's your like, it's like Bornau. Bornau knew he was going to be signing for us when we're in the Championship. He's watching those games, hoping that we're winning and go up. There's a lot of things that are in place, and unfortunately, the way football works, you can't do that for every signing. There's too many variables on it.
I'm going to be straight with you, Brian, and some people that will watch back on this will be absolutely screaming when I say this, but I think people have got a real problem with where we are at. I think the perception of Leeds United is completely skewed. I know we're a big club, I get that, and I know we're a bit of a sleeping giant, and we have got the potential to break through and surpass a Bournemouth and a Brentford if we get the 49ers get it right and all that. But in terms of the reality of where we are at, we have spent 3 years out of the past 20 in the Premier League. We've spent 17 years out of the top flight, 3 of them in League One. Like, that's the reality. So when we come up to the Premier League, we are not able to compete financially because of the PSR rules and also reputationally with some of these clubs that are then going and picking up these players. So when we're making stretch targets, it's not a surprise that they pick to go somewhere else sometimes. So are you still there?
Yeah, am I on? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but can't see you.
Well, hang on 2 seconds, sorry.
You just went into a cloud of darkness.
There we go. I'm about you.
Yeah, so I find it really, I find it a bit irritating. When we're talking about signing Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I understand it's not super sexy. I get it. But I would rather sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin as a third choice striker than Callum Wilson, who's just come off the bench for West Ham, who is properly crocked and also 33. And West Ham are an established Premier League team. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin's 28, who's played 11 times for England and scored 4 England goals. He's an established Premier League striker with over 200 appearances. Like, you cannot knock that. It's a hell of a signing. And, you have to take him at face value. He's told us that he's turned down Champions League football to come and play for us. Now, it's probably Champions League football for, I would guess maybe Newcastle is the team that he's talking about. And he's probably been told, look, you're not going to play a right lot. But that's irrelevant. It's still relevant that they are the clubs that are interested in him as an option. So I think it's a great signing. It's a very, very shrewd move. I don't want him to be the out-and-out number 9 because we can't rely on him because of the injuries. So I'm hoping another number 9 comes in. But all of the noises are that we wanted 4 strikers. If Joseph had not gone out on loan, I think we would have ended up not signing Calvert-Lewin. So he's better than Joseph and he's better than Bamford. We would have ended up signing him if Joseph had stayed. So that would have been the third choice striker. And we've always wanted a main number 9, Rodrigo Muniz. And I think he'll end up now being Ionis from Panathinaikos or Dragovic from
Stuttgart.
So, what do you think? Like, I mean, I know we briefly spoke about it. I kind of brought it up on Monday night, didn't I? And I think we were already in this place of it.
Yeah.
A lot of sense if it was the third or fourth choice striker.
The very initial reaction for me was
3-0 Sunderland.
3-0 Sunderland. Wow, there we go. Blimey, flipping it. That's something, isn't it? I tell you what, the West Ham fans are going to be going crazy at that. Yeah, I was kind of the very first reaction is, it's like, well, this guy's been let go on a free or injured, blah blah blah. But then, like you say, we kind of talked over Monday, and it just made more and more sense. What do you make of the PR around it as well? Because I feel like that's gone down really well. The video that he does with Beckford, the Instagram reply, it looks to me. So, and look, we've seen it where players get interviewed and they say all sorts, but I don't know. I really feel like he wants. Doesn't it just? He does, doesn't it? It just suits, doesn't it? It just absolutely suits.
I do. I mean, I think the PR around it has been really good. I think the 3-year contract I think it shows that we are investing in him as well as him investing in us. We could, if we get it right, get the best years out of him. He's actually hitting his prime right now. And we're not seeing it for a couple of years because of the injuries. But so, the PR around it's been really good. I hate and it pains me to say this because I actually really love him. I've had the pleasure of meeting him as well. But I hate listening to Jermaine Beckford. He's just the worst. He's the way that he asks questions and stuff.
What was that intro, by the way, that he did?
Yeah, it's painful.
What was that in?
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was quite good. Obviously, they both played for Leeds and Everton, and you know, I liked it, and I loved the fact that he was mentioning his best mate, who's a Leeds fan, and he talked about. I'm guessing it was Rafinha or Calvin that he was referring to. That we had the stand at attention, and yeah, I love all that. And he's a Yorkshire lad. Like I know he's from Sheffield, but he's a Yorkshire lad, and it matters, doesn't it? So
yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got a kind of history of like Sheffield players playing for us and doing really well as well. You know, if you look at Brian Dean and all these kind of guys as well. As Skip says here, as a backup, DCL is a good sign. If you can get us 8 to 10 goals, that will be huge. It's going to be a tough season, but his experience will be massive for us. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he comes in and 8 to 10 goals, I'd be all over that. Fantastic. Jason, Burnley. Now, has it finished 3-0 by the way? I can't get any other scores up yet. Now, it's funny because all the preview talk, I've listened to so many podcasts previewing the Premier League, and it's the same thing. It's almost like Burnley's achievement of lack of goals conceded last season has completely overshadowed what Leeds actually achieved. And the fact that actually Leeds were better defensively than Burnley in terms of chances against. They had a keeper who massively overachieved on his XG, who was sold. They've lost 3-0 today, and I hope this kind of pops the bubble of they're going to come up and be able to replicate this defensive. I mean, they've let 3 in today, so straight away, actually one of against a top team. But I mean, for me, it almost feels like a sign of things to come. I mean, when you look at that starting 11 for Burnley today, and you don't want to. You don't want to say a team's already kind of consigned to it, but it just feels almost like the writing on the wall. The fact that Scott Parker and I don't think it will be long before he starts moaning if this continues as well. But that has popped that Burnley defensive bubble straight away, hasn't it? First game of the season, it was 3-0.
Brownie, I mean, I think they are. I know you're saying it's not consigned to it. I think they're down before ball's kicked. I really do.
It feels like it.
They are miles behind the rest of the division. I think they're miles behind us and Sunderland, forgetting everyone else. So yeah, I think they're down before a ball's even kicked. I saw a great post earlier on this, the reasons why Burnley will finish bottom. That was the post, and obviously Trafford and my CJ Egan Riley. They've both gone, who were massive part of what they achieved defensively. They achieved 22 points more than they should have done via the statistics and XG. They should have finished on 78 points, I think it was, 77 points. They conceded an insane amount of goals less than what they should have done on paper. We know that we had a statistical advantage when it came to the defensive stats. That will show up more as this season goes on. Like there's outliers within the championship because of the quality that both teams had. Them in defence, us a bit more in the other half of the pitch. But that won't hold over 38 games in the Premier League. It just won't. So yeah, I think the inability to be able to score goals at this level is usually what sends you down. The fact that Josh Brownhill was their top scorer is wild from midfield, and he's left as well. So he's left on a free transfer. He's not even signed for another club yet. He's turned them down. He's turned a new contract down at Burnley. So I just cannot see all of that combined with the fact that they also signed into so many deals to obligate them to buy players upon promotion, like Jadon Anthony. I mean, we know Jadon Anthony, and Jadon Anthony had a much better season last season than he had the season before. A lot of that was down to the fact that he played and he didn't believe. But the facts are, he's a championship player. He's just a championship player. Like that's not offensive. It's just the reality. So they will finish, I think, on less than Norwich did when Farke went down with them. That's what it feels like. It feels like that Norwich team that went down.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a comment here that I've just seen. Michael, forget the Premier League results. Leicester losing at Preston and Blades losing at Swansea. Oh my God! But Sheffield United.
We mentioned them on the show the other day yesterday with Lou. I don't know if you heard, but I am not surprised by this Sheffield United at all. Last season they overachieved so much. Their team for me is really, really average. And Wilder squeezed everything that he could out of them last season. The amount of 1-0s that they got, and me and you were sat there week after week during the middle of the season, especially saying, how have they won again? They were terrible. They were second best all game to Millwall at home, and they won 1-0. And eventually the wheels fell off, and that they finished miles behind us in the end, and then they ended up losing to Sunderland in the final. So I'm not surprised by Sheffield United, and I think Leicester have got a lot of trouble. They've got a lot of problems. They've got points deduction hanging over them. Their best players are about to still leave before the end of the window. You know, El Canus was taken off at halftime there. Seeing Michael say, like, when he's entering the pitch, knowing that he's probably going to be leaving, you know, after this game, like, what kind of position is he in to really play? James Justin's the same at right back, you know, potentially coming to us. They've got a distinct lack of quality anyway. Then throw in Cifuentes, who's gone there, who's a championship manager. They've not got the same situation that they had last time they went up, where they hit a bit of a golden nugget with Maresca by the looks of it. Although we weren't convinced at the time, but it's, you know, has proven that he's quite a capable manager. So I think they're in a whole host of trouble, and I think Ipswich will. I said Ipswich. I don't think they'll be as strong as what people think they will. I really don't.
No, it's going to be. What's their result, Ipswich, today? What have they done?
I don't know. I know they got fortunate to draw against Wrexham on opening day, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Would you take?
I think Southampton will be close under. And I really think Birmingham are going to be a big issue for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Gus Hamer, would you be grabbing him before the window's out? What do you think's happening there?
Came up yesterday, didn't he? With another one that I mentioned to Lou. He's a bit of a strange one. Like, I'm just surprised that he's still there. I'm surprised that he's still playing games for Sheffield United. One season in the Championship, I can kind of understand, but two, it just, I don't know. I don't know if there's just something more behind the scenes with him that can't be trusted. But I do see a world in which he would potentially end up at Leeds as an option within the 10 left side role. I don't know if we need him or not. Yeah, he's a strange one. He's Gus Hamer. I would be stunned if he finishes the window there.
Yeah, me too. Mentioned the Leicester boys. El Canus, it looks as if he might be filling Eze's boots at Palace. There was this release clause that apparently expired last night. Eze has said he wants to go to Spurs. I think is he out of the squad or something? I don't know when Crystal Palace are playing actually, but I think he's wanting to. He's not going to be available or something for their match day squad. So it looks like he's trying to push through a move to Spurs. El Canus then probably going to fill that gap. So that's probably one that's going to kind of not go our way. But I mean, you know, there's still so many options. I think, you know, we are a data-led recruitment team. We know that they will have other people. I just wonder if we'll just kind of do Hamer in the last kind of few days of the window or something. As maybe we're just keeping him on the back burner.
Maybe. I mean, we're definitely fleshing out the squad, aren't we? We've seen that with the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and James Justin had fallen into the same bracket as that.
Yeah.
We've also seen an ability to kind of pivot and move with deals. You know, we missed out on Diarra and Siddiqui, and before you knew it, Anton Stack and Sean Longstaff were in the building. So I'm not concerned. They will get the players that they need to fill the spots that they need. I think the 9 is always going to be the most difficult to fill, especially for a big ticket player. And the same goes for the left wing, the creative player. You know, Okafor, as an example, is a top player. There's going to be loads of clubs interested in him. That's not an easy deal to do for a team that's just been promoted. It's just not. It's just as simple as that. So I think, I think it's a challenging one, but I think we'll get them done. I could see Hamer later on. I could definitely see that. I just don't know where he'd fit, because I can't see a world in which now we play with a 10 out and out every week, and if we do,
No.
I can see that game time in that area being shared by Joe Perot and Brendan Aronson. I mentioned yesterday about Brendan Aronson potentially going out on loan if Hamer came in. I could see that happening.
Yeah,
that could be a potential.
Ramazani loan kind of rumours as well, aren't there, around him as well, which is interesting. Where are the goals going to come from? Then do you think? Where when you look at this squad at the moment, are we yet to put that piece of the puzzle in, or do you think? That's where I look at it at the minute and go, I do wonder. It feels like Joe Peru. If he does the Joe Peru thing, but then I don't know if that helps us generally. That's where I kind of worry a bit at the moment for us, is where are those goals coming from?
It feels a little bit like we're building around what we did last season. The goals were very shared out. Dan James, Joe Perot, Manor Solomon, Jaden Bogle, Jimmy Fairport, and then Nonto Ramazani chipped in as well. Like, they all got a lot of goals between them. And bear in mind, we scored 100 goals, didn't we, last season? So even though I know Joe Perot ended up finishing as the top scorer, but it wasn't like landslide miles ahead of anybody else, was it? Did he end up finishing as top scorer, or did they?
Yeah, it did. No, I think Peru did. Yeah, Peru did.
So yeah, I think the goals will be shared, but I agree with you. I think there's an issue with creativity at the minute. Like, I already know that going into Monday night, I said it on the show with Lou yesterday. I think we're gonna see a lot of defensive possession football. I think we'll see a lot of 0-0s, a lot of 1-0s, low scoring games, and it won't be the prettiest to watch at times.
Yeah.
We'll have moments, I think we have still got the potential, but until we sign a knockoff or a Solomon or, prior to that Pajau or somebody like that that's going to make that real X factor difference, we probably are going to struggle in that area of the pitch. We're going to be limited for chances, I think.
Yeah, it would interesting. I don't know if did you see Farke's press conference yesterday?
No.
So there was an interesting bit because he got asked the question, does he have a point to prove in the Premier League? And he literally talked for about 20 minutes after that. It was hilarious. And I was loving it because I was driving, so I was like, yeah, you keep talking, Farke, you're killing my day. I love it. But he literally went on for what seemed probably only about 5 or 10 minutes, but it seemed to go on forever. And he was basically saying he doesn't have a point to prove in the Premier League. He's comfortable with the context around, what happened at Norwich. Made some interesting comments actually about basically at Norwich. It was like, yeah, there's no chance we stay up. We're way ahead of plan here, even getting promoted. I wonder though if that's what he's saying publicly, but I'm sure within himself he'll want. I mean, I can't imagine him, not wanting absolutely to prove a point, because this is what everybody's talking about. He's got the worst losing streak ever in the Premier League. He holds that record, and there's a lot of things he has to put to bed. That it's amazing with Farke, what he's achieved, and the lack of respect around it, and the lack of kind of acknowledgement and recognition on it. He really has, and the test of it is always to listen to what people outside the Leeds bubble, the journalists, the fans think of Farke, and it's always the same thing, the fact that he's a good Championship manager, and he's kind of written off as that. And I'm just fascinated to see if he's able to kind of go beyond that. For me, he's kind of achieved par, get us promoted. That was basically the requirement. He's done it. So now it's a case of, can he actually exceed? Can he get that? Can he take it up a level and if he establishes, if we have a decent, if we finish 15th or something like that, his reputation is just going to start to build and build, surely.
I'll be honest with you, Brian. I've started to see him in a bit of a different light. Like, I've really liked the way that he's handled the pre-season expectations, handled himself in the media. I like what he's done with the team in the way that we've adapted and changed tactically. I can see that. I think he does get a really hard bargain. How many Premier League managers get relegated, stay there all season, and then get re-promoted again without getting sacked in that Premier League season. They're in
Exactly.
Kieran McKenna last year. It is literally the only one I can think of. If you are performing to that standard where you then get relegated again, you usually get sacked because the board can't help it, and they can't help themselves almost. The fan unrest gets, which tells me that everything that Daniel Farke says is spot on. That team was absolutely miles away from it. Now, sure, he loses 10 games in a row, whatever it was in the second time, but that team was still miles off it. Without Daniel Farke, does that Norwich team ever get promoted? It probably doesn't. People always go, oh, well, they had Emi Buendia and Timo Pukki. I mean, Timo Pukki was a bang average European striker until Farke got hold of him. Nobody had even heard of Emi Buendia. And the rest of the team was bang average. It really was. I mean, go and have a look at what them players went on and did elsewhere afterwards. They didn't do anything. They weren't. I think the centre back who went to Everton had I think he was probably a decent player. My names have gone today. We're
Godfrey.
I don't know what's up with me. I'm a football encyclopedia. I can't remember. But yeah, the point is that team wasn't full of big hitters or players that went on to maximise this potential. They were just an average Championship squad, and he worked miracles with them, similar to Marcelo Bielsa at least. So I actually think I agree with him. I don't think he has a lot to prove to himself. I think he really believes and backs himself.
Yeah.
One thing that he can't do is use excuses after this transition period. So if this does fail for Daniel Farke, he will then have a point to prove, because he should, if he's as capable as what he thinks he is, he should be able to operate this team into being able to finish on 40 to 45 points with one or two additions. That's how I feel about it. But I actually do agree with him. I think he's probably been given a hard bargain. I think there's a few things with Daniel Farke. I think the Norwich experience to the casual fan it's easy to pin it on people. They don't know what he's done abroad. They don't recognise the fact that he went to he's participated in the top flight of German football already and finished 10th with Mönchengladbach. I think it's funny because Dave Foy mentioned it in the group earlier. I think the way that he speaks makes people just think he's a bit of an idiot. Where actually, I think he's a really good manager, a really good top level manager. So yeah, I actually agree with him, mate.
Yeah, it's kind of felt since he came in, people have just been waiting to, get rid. It really feels like people have just been kind of almost waiting for the end of Daniel Farke at Leeds. And I personally, and look, they say, don't fall in love with players, don't fall in love with managers, because it all ends in tears. But I think a lot of Farke. I really do. I like him. I like how he comes across. I think he speaks really well. He gets it. I think he's achieved what the initial goal was. Whatever happens, I'm rooting for him. I am absolutely 100% rooting for him. Because obviously it means Leeds are doing well, but also for him, I just think he gets such a when you see some of the appointments that go on and the reputations people get, and he for what he's achieved, winning the Championship 3 times, and like you say, bouncing back with relegated teams. Who does that? Who does that to bounce back and win? It's I mean, last summer we lost 3 unbelievable assets, and yet he was able to kind of evolve the team forward. The first season, we were in disarray.
Yeah,
if we'd have started from a good start and a fast start, we'd have gone up automatically. I have no doubt about that.
I also think no. I was just going to say, like, so many managers wouldn't have been able to operate in Leeds United in the way that we are, and
100%.
I think there's a couple of things that people also forget with Farke is that we still have a little bit of Bielsa shadow. The managers Jesse Marsh didn't stand a chance regardless of how he was, but he didn't stand a chance after Marcelo. He didn't. And I still think that Daniel Farke has got a little bit of that going on.
Yeah.
If we'd have never had Marcelo, Daniel Farke would be the best manager we've ever seen. He would be the most successful manager that most of our younger fan base had ever experienced. The football would, the way that we speak as a fan, when I say we, I mean the general fan base, would be so different to what it is.
Yeah, it would.
And I'm so glad we had Marcelo is my hero, but it does make us very entitled as a fan base.
Yeah.
And you know, Daniel Farke had a better squad than Marcelo Bielsa. We can say that comparatively to the Championship. But Marcelo Bielsa never did the things that Daniel Farke did. The statistics and the way the domination that we had last season, the 100 points, the 100 goals, like Marcelo never did. And I said it to you several times over the last 2 seasons. I do like the fact that we were far more pragmatic. We were more in control of games. You know, there were times where we lost games or drew games under Marcelo because the style wouldn't change. And then it caught up with us. You know, I don't blame him or the players for the way that season 2 went. I blame the board and only signing Daniel James and Jimmy Firpo. But all that said, Marcelo still stuck to the principles regardless, even though we didn't have the players to do it and we were getting battered. That's on Marcelo. That's on his limitations, you know. So there's many a world in which I see Daniel Farke as not being a better manager than Marcelo, but you could argue that his methods are more sustainable.
Well, do you know what? It's fascinating you say that, actually, because, you know, it's a long summer, innit? You try to look for football content. I was looking at I was thinking about this the other day, actually. And in that season, Marcelo got sacked. We'd beaten all the teams around us. We'd beaten Burnley. We'd beaten West Ham. The problem was we were getting these horrendous drubbings from the top 3 or 4 teams, 7-0s and 6-0s. And the perception then became that we can't go on with this. And you just think, if we'd have just, if we could have just tweaked it, if we could have, you know, if we'd lost 2-0 against Man City, if we'd lost even 3-0 against Liverpool, that Spurs game, if we'd have lost 2-0, he could have still kept his job and it kept going. And it's that fine line between, you've got your principles, you've got your beliefs, and look, I respect him for kind of, you know, dying on his sword, you know, and sticking to what he believes. But at the same time, it's like, I do not want, the thing I'm really glad about, Jason, is we haven't got how Russell Martin was or Vincent Kompany were when they came to where you've just got this, oh my God, we're passing it around the penalty box, we're getting hammered in every game. Like, I don't want a season where we get hammered. So I think if Farke is more pragmatic and like you say, he is, you know, it's proof of the pudding. You know, you just look at statistically last season. I mean, it's just a ridiculous season. And I really hope we're able to continue that. And I'm encouraged by what we've seen in pre-season. I'm really encouraged with what we've seen in pre-season. I think our midfield is, you know, superb. I think we might have a little bit more in games than people think.
I agree. I think people gloss over last season. I think they kind of just like, that's what we should have done. I don't think people really realised just how dominant we were. We were exceptional, and we were all, you know, invested in it and nervous and all the rest of it, Luton away and when we drew and all like, when you now look at it back, we were so dominant. I mean, me and you were jumping on reviews and saying it went 1-0 and we'd won in like the 30th minute. We knew we were going to win the game, and it was like an unbelievable shock when I think we drew one game at home. I think I want to say it was Blackburn. I think they equalised late at home, and it was like this devastation had happened. I think we won like 18 games at home. Like, it might have even been more. I mean, we lost one game at home all season, and it was the 3rd home game of the season against Burnley.
Ridiculous.
People they just gloss over it as if, well, it's Leeds United. They should have done that. They had no. It's not that easy. It's not that simple at all. So
no. Getting to Everton then Monday night, and Mr. Grealish, I don't know if he's going to play or start or what's going to go.
Start.
He's going to start.
Apparently.
Well, they're kind of struggling in those areas, weren't they? So they you know, they need it, and probably Grealish is banging at the door to start. He'll be desperate after not having much game time. And it was one of those signings where I was like, oh no, please, not in time for the Leeds game. But I thought you made some interesting points on it in the group. The fact that He's not played a lot in 2 seasons. He's 29. He's not, 24, 25 now. We don't know what this Jack Grealish is going to look like. I've not seen Jack Grealish play how we think of Jack Grealish since the treble year, really. Didn't make it into the England tournament last year. So it's not cut and dry, is it? It's not cut and dry that he's just suddenly going to be Jack Grealish at Villa, where he's dribbling around half the team and banging in 30-yard screamers. So it's not like we have to fear him particularly, is it? Obviously, we know if he does reach those levels, that's going to be a hard night for whoever's trying to stop him. But, that's not going to be an easy route just to suddenly get back to those levels.
No, definitely. I mean, we have to remember as well, like, I do rate Jack Grealish. I really like him as a guy as well. But £100 million, 17 goals over 5 years or whatever it was, like, it's not been a great move. He's had spurts have been good for City. Treble season, you mentioned there, like, he had some good moments, but he's always been displaced, like, by whoever, really, hasn't he? There's been others that have come through, whether it was Sané, Doku more recently, like, others have come through the doors and replaced him. So he's a good player, and I think he could, after a few months, and I hope I don't come back to bite my words at this, I think after a few months he could probably resurrect himself and get himself back into some sort of form. I think early days it could be quite rocky for him. I think he might struggle to find that form. I think Everton are a really interesting one. Like, some are putting them in the top 10. Some of people are saying that they could be in a relegation battle. I don't think people really know. I look at their team and pick out the likes of Tarkowski and Michael Keane, who are going to be playing centre-back, and just think it's just a bottom 3 centre-back pairing. I know they have some decent players in. Dye's very good. They signed Alcaraz on a permanent. I think Beto can be really, really difficult to play against. Barry might end up, being a decent signing for him. But they have some weaknesses as well. Especially in the back four. I think Pickford's a solid Premier League goalkeeper that kind of gets away with a lot because of his mannerisms. But yeah, I'm not worried about. I think it's a really good test. I think it's a really good yardstick for us to kind of go up against. And I really like Sunderland take the bull by the horns today and take advantage of playing one of these teams that are going to be in 12th to 16th more than likely and go and beat them at home.
Yeah. Do we need to win it, do you think, then? Do you think that this is a game where it's like, you don't want to talk about must not losers or anything like that, but it does feel Everton at home. It got to get something at least. I know Lou predicted a draw, didn't they? But I'm hoping we can sneak a win at least.
It's obviously not a must-win game on game week 1, but I do understand why people are saying that, because we follow it up with Arsenal and Newcastle, and if we don't win the game, it's very likely that we get to game week 4 and we've not won yet.
Yeah.
And we may not even have any points. So I get it. I made the point yesterday that I actually think it's a must not lose for Daniel Farke, because I know what the fan base is going to be like. I know what the media is going to be like, because if we do lose on Monday and then we go and lose the next 2, he's going to be under extreme pressure after 3 games. And that's not fair, really. So I don't think it would make or break our season if we lost the game. I really don't. But I think it might make or break Farke's if we lost the game. So that's how I think we win the game. I do. I think we turn. I think it'll be difficult, and I think it'll be a really tight, nervy kind of. Not nervy, because I think the players will be good to go at it, but I think it'll be tight and enclosed, and we just have to really make it a fortress there. We have to make it absolutely bouncing again, like Sunderland. I mean, the atmosphere at Stadium of Light today was honestly incredible. They're a very funny team, Sunderland. When they're at it, the fans fancy it. They're unbelievable. When they're not, I mean, I've seen Stadium of Light half empty. Middlesbrough the same. But yeah, I think we can win the game, mate. But I don't think it's a must win.
No. Who starts up front for you? Because obviously you're looking at your choices there. Obviously Calvert-Lewin coming in now. I don't know if he's going to be ready or what. Nemecha, Piru. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a tricky one because I am worried about Peru in that kind of physical present sense, but if you get a half chance or a sniff of a chance, you want Peru on it. I mean, I think, did you say you were thinking Peru was going to be the one who starts potentially?
I think it's a real debate. I think there's avenues for why you would argue for either of them. DCL won't start. There's no way that I could see him starting again, but I do think we'll see him. I think he'll make, and he could well make an impact. I mean, it'd be brilliant score against Everton.
I'd love it.
Jack Harrison assist as well. That'd be even better.
But, Jack Harrison assist. Yeah.
I think if I was Daniel Farke and I was writing up my team, I think I'd just go for Joe Perreault. I think he's had a really good pre-season. He's looked fit. He's looked a bit quicker. He's looked ready and alive, and his finishing's been good, and we know his finishing's good. And I can imagine that he will, if he's on it, he will be a bit of a headache for Keane and Tarkowski because he's a little bit more delicate, he's a little bit more clever. He'll suck them into the 10s position. Whereas I think Metra will just get into a physical fight with them. He'll just get into a battle with them. So I can see credit for both, but at home I'd probably lean on Perreault for this one.
Who are your wingers? So Dan James, who seems to be kind of getting back up to speed from what I've seen, and I think there's legitimate question marks about Dan James in the Premier League at that level. I think he had an unreal season last year, but there was a bit in the AC Milan game where the ball went to him and he miscontrolled it, and it's such a small moment, but it was like that lack of technical ability to grab hold of that ball and kind of do something with it. And I just thought in the Premier League, I don't know. But in terms of the other side, obviously, is it going to be Jackie? Is it going to be Nonto? I mean, where are you going with that?
I think it's a super interesting one. If Mecha starts, I think he'll go for Harrison.
Yeah.
If Perreault starts, I think he'll go for Nonto.
Right.
But I also think there's and I think Dan James will start on the right. I don't think that's even a debate. Just because of the options that we've got right now, it kind of feels like he's the only one that really can play out and out on the right, even though I know the other ones can fill in there. I think I think there's a very real world in which Jack Harrison starts. I think he will like him down that side defensively. Everton are going to be looking to get down them wings as well, and I just think Jack Harrison he'll do the defensive work.
Do you know what? I get that. My only issue with that is though, what headspace does that put the crowd into if it kind of changes the vibe almost? And people are wanting to boo him. I'm like, do we need that conversation on the opening game?
You think maybe away from home for the first time?
Maybe, because I think it takes that focus away, or it's an unnecessary distraction, and it changes the vibe and the atmosphere if Jack Harrison's starting and everyone's like, oh, forget Jack. You know what I mean?
Look, it's going to happen. He's going to play at some point. I just think he grow up.
Oh yeah. Like we said in it, I think we both, you've just got to accept he's part of the squad now, really, and that's it.
I'd rather have Jack Harrison in the squad as being an able body in a Premier League squad than relying on Chadwick or Sam Chambers or whoever else, because we need a fleshed out squad, don't we?
Yeah.
We really do. We've been there before with this conversation, and the squad still needs some additions in it right now. We've got situations in which we're having to play Isaac Schmidt, for God's sake. Like, he's so far off it. So yeah, but if I had to put a house on the line, I would probably go Nonto and James, just because of what pre-season's told us in terms of the minutes that they've all got.
Yeah,
Jack Harrison's been coming off the bench and Nonto's been starting, but when I talk about them two then starting, and John mentioned it, needing some extra quality to keep us safe, I do absolutely think that we still are really light in them areas. When I say Dan James and Nonto out loud, I think we've got a distinct lack of quality there.
What do you think of the Dan James thing I mentioned then, in terms of is he going to be enough? Is he going to be,
I think he'll play a big part. I think we give Dan James a bit of a hard time. I think everybody gives Dan James a little bit of a hard time because of his trajectory in the Premier League with Leeds United. But we need to remember that he played most of his game time for Leeds up front.
Yeah.
And he played against Chelsea under Jesse Marsh at the beginning of the relegation season, gave an assist and then got binned out to Fulham. And all that Dan James has ever done in a Leeds shirt is work extremely hard. He came back after all that and a terrible loan at Fulham to be arguably our most productive player over 2 seasons. Again, he didn't bang the door down to leave after season 1, which I thought it was brilliant in season 1, and I thought it was even better last year. I don't think we've ever seen the best version of him at Leeds in the Premier League.
No.
We saw a bit of that when he was probably out of his depth and too young at Manchester United. In the early days of him being there, he was actually very good. He was one of their better players. I think he can offer a lot, mate. I think he really can. He's definitely improved as well, hasn't he? He's improved loads. So.
Yeah, indeed. Just before we wrap up, the midfield 3, probably our strongest area of the pitch, really. When you look at the depth and the quality we've got there, I think Stack, no-brainer. And Purdue for the reason that he's the captain and, he's Farker's boy in it, really. The other space, Tanaka versus Longstaff, is probably the debate. Who would you be leaning towards Monday night on that one?
Who would I lean towards, or who do I think Farker will?
Both, actually. Yeah, who would you kind of throw in there? And what do you think will happen?
Probably going to be the same answer, but I feel really bad saying it. I'd probably go for Longstaff.
Yeah.
Just because of the experience and how I think difficult that midfield battle might be. I think it's going to be probably where the game is won and lost, as it so often is. The midfield is such an integral part of winning Premier League games. I really like Tanaka, and I think he's had a great pre-season. I just worry about his physicality and his experience in that area of the pitch. But if you're not going to play him against Everton at home, who are you going to play him against? So it's tricky. But I think he will go for Longstaff. I think.
Yeah. It feels good to have that kind of depth and that kind of debate, though, doesn't it? It feels like that's a really super strong part of the pitch. Then you got Gruev, who's there as well, who's looked decent in
great pre-season as well, mate. He's had a great.
He's had a great one, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, we will be back to review the game Monday night. Now, well, I say Monday night. It depends on my signal where I end up watching it, because I don't know where I'm watching it at the moment. I can definitely watch it on my phone where I am, but I want to see it on a screen, obviously. So I don't know. I'm going to have to figure it out. So we'll either be back Monday or the Tuesday, won't we, Jay, in terms of a review?
We will, mate. We will. I'll be ready and raring to go 100%.
Yeah, and we'll make it happen. But here we go, Jay. That's it. The Premier League is upon us. Leeds United, we're about to get to it, mate.
Looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, cannot wait.
What's your prediction?
Oh well, so you went for 2-1, didn't you?
I went 2-1. Yeah.
2-1. Lou did 1-1. I'm going to copy it. I think 2-1. I think 2-1. I could see it. I could see a draw though as well. And I thought, I could see a draw, but I'm going to be optimistic and hopeful, and I'm going to say Leeds are going to do it, and I would love a DCL winner later on. That would just
it would be chef's because I don't like Everton, and it's only because of Lampard. It is only because of Lampard. I don't.
Yeah.
I used to quite like him as a club as well, but then they employed Lampard and just got spawning for like 3 years in a row, defeated, and then just got.
Yeah.
I just don't like him.
I agree. It's got to come home to roost for him at some point, hasn't it? You're not allowed to just get away with being that awful for so long. So yeah, hopefully we can show them where we're at. But we'll wait and see. Myself and Jay, we will be back Monday or Tuesday to give our take on the game. Can't wait for it. And yeah, just excited, raring to go. We'll be back. I'm sure the boys will be doing another show Monday night potentially as well. Me and Jay definitely won't be on that one. But we will be on either after or on Tuesday. So please do subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Like and get your comments in as well. Come on, Leeds. Here we go. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you for jumping on, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we will see you all next week. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.